Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show called The Talking Point, the show where we bring you guys at home into the studio and discuss the biggest talking points about the beautiful game. Now, today I'm joined by two FD superstars. Dougie Critchley, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be discussing all things Potter.
Indeed. Samuel Basaki, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, brother. We're talking about Chelsea, so it's great to be here.
I love it. Now, of course, we're also going to be getting one of you guys here as well. Loyd, how are you doing, buddy?
Come on.
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Now, as Dougie hinted towards, and as you can see by the title and thumbnail of the video, this is going to be about Chelsea and judging Graham Potter's first month or so in charge of the Blues. Now, it's actually been nearly 2 months, but because of certain things, international breaks, stoppage and postponements of the Premier League, we've seen his Chelsea side play 8 times in the Premier League. Now, in that time, guys, they have won 5 and drawn 3, having not lost a game. So, all things seem quite positive. They scored 14 goals and only conceded 3 in that time as well. Currently 5th in the Premier League, same points as Newcastle on 4th, and they have a game in hand on Newcastle. So I want to ask you a question. Loyd, this is going to you first, my friend. Are Chelsea better under Graham Potter than under Thomas Tuchel?
Yes. In the short, yes. I'm not sure whether we'll have the same amount of success in a short period of time like we did under Tuchel, obviously winning the Champions League. There's no reason why we can't this season, but in the short term, I think we've been better in the Premier League. Not much to go off in the Champions League, but we've been pretty good in that as well. So, yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay, what do you make of that, Sam? Obviously, when Thomas Tuchel was in charge, Chelsea was 6th when he was sacked. He'd lost 2 games, one to Leeds and another to Southampton. They had a goal difference of -1. So, by the looks of it, with the way the table is, you would say maybe yes. Is that what you're thinking?
I agree with Loyd, I think it was easier to fully get behind Tuchel at the time that he came in, mainly because of the fact that the teams that he's managed in the past, the competitions he's managed in. With Potter, it was almost like we've never seen him on this stage before. Before the Champions League games, they're talking about him managing university teams, not being in Champions League before. But I think all the stats and everything that you've said around his time at Chelsea is positive. I think. Has he done better?
What is this thing? Obviously, right now I can see it in your head. You're thinking about it. What is it that is causing you to think like that?
I feel like...
Is it the way they're performing on the pitch?
I feel on the pitch we're performing at a good level. I just think now, because of what Tuchel done when he first came in, like Loyd said, winning the Champions League at the end of the season, Chelsea fans are almost expecting not that type of success, but they're expecting top 4 finish, potentially a few finals. And I'm not sure that is fair considering where Potter's come from. Not saying that he won't be able to achieve that, but I'm just not putting that expectation on him.
How do you feel about that? Do you think that's a right view to look at it?
Yeah, I think Thomas Tuchel shouldn't have been fired in the first place, to be honest. I thought it was quite a rash decision. Obviously had that disappointing result against Dinamo Zagreb and Leeds as well, but obviously that was more to do with him falling out with Todd Bowley behind the scenes, I think, rather than really any too bigger issues on the pitch. I would say that Graham Potter's generally used the similar sort of players that Tuchel has, so he hasn't changed anything drastically. Have they played a lot better? I think they played slightly better, but it's certainly not clicked really easily in attack. And I think there's still some question marks over the impact of some of those summer signings as well. Kalidou Koulibaly's been in and out of the side. Cucurella, we saw him getting subbed at the weekend. Raheem Sterling hasn't found his Man City form just yet. So I still think there's plenty of things for Potter to be working on. I mean, as Chelsea fans, are you a little bit concerned about how the summer signings have adapted?
I mean, that's got to go to you, Loyd. How do you feel at the moment about Chelsea's summer signings?
Some of the signings, I think, they're definitely still taking their time. Like you said, the likes of Cucurella and Koulibaly especially, in the back line, they've kind of been in and out. I would say, as a left wing back, Chilwell's probably outperformed Cucurella so far. He can also obviously play in that back 3. But I think what Potter's done really well is getting the most out of the players that were already there. The likes of Chalobah, the likes of Loftus-Cheek have improved exponentially in comparison to those summer signings. I think the likes of Hudson-Odoi, when he comes back, could also go up a level under Potter. So yeah, I think it's definitely still got to click in attack. and kind of in defence as well with the summer signings, but we have been much better defensively.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea definitely have been better defensively. The defensive record screams that. But Sam, Raheem Sterling, top goal scorer, 3 goals in the Premier League. Mason Mount next best with 2. Obviously, they brought in Aubameyang. How are you feeling at the moment with the attacking side of it? Because obviously Reece James has been injured now.
Yeah, that's a big miss. That's a big miss. I think Reece James, people are going to realise it now. Not saying that Azpilicueta is not a great right back or right wing back, but at the same time, we're talking about one of the best fullbacks in the world in Reece James, and losing him to our attack is definitely going to be a dent. But like you said, the numbers aren't bad. I think we're creating more chances, the chances that we weren't seeing under Tuchel in the last few months of his tenure. I think I just want to see more instinctive striking. I think that we haven't seen that as much recently. But
in what way do you mean that? Do you think
like
that Brozier playing, or
so,
is that
so because of the amount of games that we're playing, we're seeing a lot of the forwards coming in and out. You know, the rhythm. Even though we can understand that there's a lot of games, it's going to be hard for these forwards to find rhythms playing with different players. You know, Pulisic has come on in a few games. He's looked really good. Sterling started the season really well. Then he's petered out a little bit. Mount started the season not as great as he wanted to, and now he's one of our key performers up there as well. So I think we just need to find a rhythm. I think we're creating more chances, which is nicer, and Potter's definitely getting more out of the forwards. So yeah, I think there's no reason to be too concerned with the forwards right now.
Was there any concern, Loyd, about the United game, obviously, that happened on the weekend? The first 25, 30 minutes, I think it's safe to say Chelsea were absolutely dominated by Erik ten Hag's men. Does that cause you any concern at all about maybe whether he's trying too many things too quickly, or do you like that? Is that something that you're actually impressed by, and that he admits his mistakes and can make a sub at half an hour?
Yeah, I definitely fall into the latter category, where I like that he tried something, he realised it didn't work. After half an hour, he brought in Kovacic and the game completely changed. So I think instead of looking at the negatives, you've got to look at the positives there. And after the game, after he made the substitute, the game was much more in our favour. We played much better. We were unfortunate with the result in the end. But we did well to cling on until the end, and unfortunately it didn't go our way, but I thought it was a good change.
Yeah, no, I think fair enough, he made the change, but I think there has to be a slight concern that you started so poorly at home, where you've got an amazing record against Man United, and you just were getting torn apart far too easily for me. And I think on the back of the Brentford game, where Kepa kept you in it, and then was it the previous weekend we played Aston Villa, where Kepa kept you in it? Like, the form in the Premier League hasn't really kicked on, and this is a club with enormous expectations, and enormous expectations to entertain as well. And it just doesn't feel like Chelsea have been that entertaining so far under Potter.
But at the same time, the only thing I would say with the Brentford and United game, Brentford played really well. I know they got wiped the week after, which doesn't make it look that great, but they played really well against us at home. And then Manchester United, they're in a good run of form as well. So, and they've beaten 3 of the top 6 currently, so they're in a good position. So I like the fact that normally a manager would wait till half-time and say, you know what, let's see what these boys can do. I think he was a bit fortunate in a sense, having Cucurella, who's played under him for a few years, so there's not going to be the headlines of, he's just taking off this player, this, that. Now it's like he changed something. The game now went in their favour, and then now he's going to understand in those games Kovacic has to start, because I'm sure a few Chelsea fans were thinking, why didn't he start? Is there something wrong? We found out after he did have a little injury that he was playing with. So those are the reasons why he's making these choices. He wouldn't. We've got to realise that these lot are playing every 2-3 days. Like, do you know what I mean? It's going to have effect on the senior players especially. So I think he's doing well in terms of like alternating the team every week and trusting players. Chukwuemeka came on and he had a big impact as well. And I'm sure people probably didn't expect him to have that impact.
No, for sure.
So, yeah.
Now, I've got another talking point that I want to raise to you guys. Do you think Chelsea, and obviously the new board, which have shown maybe that they are looking towards the future by giving Potter a long-term contract, by bringing in these youngsters for a lot of money, do you think Chelsea, I think this means the board, the fans, the players, are prepared for a few seasons, not just this season, of possibly not competing for the Premier League title, with the possibility of having future success?
He just looked at me as soon as you said not competing. I don't think we're in a position not to compete. I think the signings that they made in terms of Fofana, one of the best centre-backs in recent years, Koulibaly, one of the most highly rated in
sure.
Europe. You know, Cucurella, he was wanted by City. They didn't want to pay the fee. Chukwuemeka, also one of the youngsters that a lot of teams wanted to bring through. Obviously, we paid what we paid to get him in. So I think with the team that we have now and the players that we brought in, there's no reason to believe that we're not trying to compete right now. Obviously, we understand the standards that I'd say only City are having at the moment.
sure,
you know,
of
Liverpool,
course, yeah.
They're not looking the same. Arsenal, they're almost in a similar transitional period. United in a similar transitional period as well. So I think we're definitely, with the signings and you know, we've seen links with Nkunku and a few other players in Europe. I think with those type of links, I think we are trying to still be in that conversation for titles.
Loyd, do you think it was essentially the idea then for Chelsea to take maybe one step back to go two step forwards in a couple of seasons, rather than maybe with Thomas Tuchel, who has obviously been very vocal about wanting to challenge for the title, was looking to kind of go all that way maybe this year, maybe next year?
Yeah, and I would kind of agree with Sam in the sense that I wouldn't say right now we're a million miles away from competing for titles, for competing in the Champions League, the Premier League. I think obviously there is that dominance that City have got at the moment in terms of, I mean, they're far and away the best team in the country at the minute. But I wouldn't say we're a million miles off with the right signings, like you mentioned in Nkunku, bringing through players like Chukwuemeka. But I think there is definitely an element of building for the future. You know, you're seeing we're bringing in kind of people below the board, like technical director, director of football, positions like that. I think getting those positions filled, as well as the playing staff, the young players, I think that's definitely a sign that we're building for the future rather than instant success. But obviously we might have that as well. We might get an FA Cup, a domestic cup, something like that in the short term, but I can't see us winning the league or the Champions League for the next couple of years.
Okay, Dukes, I'll put this one to you then. You're spending £300 million in the summer. Can you afford to not have instant success?
Absolutely not. I think you have to be challenging on all fronts after that. I mean, it's a record in European football that. I think it beat Real Madrid it was second.
Look at the state
to Real
of the
Madrid
market,
in 2019.
the state of the market.
I agree, but you guys keep on talking about signing players for the future. You've also got Aubameyang starting up front. You've got N'Golo Kante in midfield. Well, not at the moment, but would ideally. You've got Thiago Silva at the back, age 37. So these are players that aren't going to get any better. You've got Raheem Sterling in the peak of his powers. You know, he probably will go on to his 30s, but you know, this is his prime time. You've signed him for £50 million. You've got to challenge right now. And at the moment, you guys have been miles away from challenging the Premier League for actually quite a long time. I don't think you've got over 80 points since Conte's departure. I think you've hovered around 75 for the last few years.
I'm impartial in this show. I'm impartial. Look at me, man. I'm impartial.
Yeah, I'm taking it out on you. And obviously, you know, Tuchel did great. 2 cup finals last year, Champions League win the previous year. Last year, you lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League, eventual champions. There's no shame in that. But you cannot pretend that this squad, you know, and the investment that's gone into it, they're going to be happy with just scraping 4th this year.
Okay. I'm going to end the show then on this question to Loyd and Sam. Loyd, I'll come to you first then very quickly. What is the minimal success then you think Chelsea need to have a season where they are happy with?
For this season?
Yeah, for this season.
Well, based off last season, I don't think last season was necessarily a bad season. Obviously, we got to 2 cup finals and lost them both, unfortunately. But I don't think necessarily last season they were unhappy with the results they got, given, obviously, last season as well, we spent a lot of money.
For sure.
I'd say this, and personally, I'd be happy with top 4 and a domestic cup, maybe an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, something like that. If we could get to the final in 2 of them, maybe win 1 of them, I'd be happy with that.
Samuel?
Yeah, I'm similar. Top 4, few cup finals, a good run in the Champions League as well, beating a few of our, you know, rivals in the league always feels nice. You know, a win against City, Arsenal would be good. But yeah, like I'm not over optimistic. I feel like I'm in a stage of just understanding the way the league looks and how teams are doing at the moment. So yeah.
If Chelsea don't get top 4, then what happens? Because then you're not attracting players to the Champions League for next season. It's tough to do in the market.
I think if we don't get top 4, we'll be fine. I'll be honest. I think
Your
we'll be
lip look,
fine.
it was trembling then.
No, because I was thinking.
You can
like,
let the tears out.
now we've seen teams like Manchester United when they've not made the top four, they're still able to sign great players, and I think the success that we've had in recent years and even in the last few decades can hold us up for a while. But I wouldn't want to think of us not getting top four. So we're going to get top four.
Okay, he doesn't want to imagine it. Well then, guys, that is the end of this talking point. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below. I really appreciate it. And also get your thoughts and opinions on Chelsea and how Graham Potter has started to life at Cobham and Stamford Bridge. Get him down there. Make sure you check out our socials as well. They'll be in the description. Loyd's will be in the description. Thank you so much, Loyd. And if you guys are not subscribed to Football Daily, do that right now. And if you enjoy the video, like it. It's as simple as that. And we'll see you very soon.